Everyone, welcome back. Today we want to take a look at Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. Yes, it's the conversation again. Lewis Hamilton's move to Ferrari, and a lot of people have opinions, and they've had opinions for a long time. I want to clarify a few things. A lot of individuals seems to be labeling under the introduction that Ferrari is being taken over by the Lewis Hamilton cult group, by Cult LH. Now, I can assure you this isn't a Cult LH takeover. What would be frightening is if I said this is a coup d'etat. But luckily for you, it is not a coup d'etat. It's not a coup d'etat at all. But a lot of Ferrari fans seems to be very protective of Ferrari, and I'm okay with that. They seems to be questioning the timing of this move, and I'm okay with that. They seem to be questioning if we're going to take over Ferrari, if we're going to invade, if we're going to attack them. I can assure you, Ferrari fans, you can calm down. But I want to address one of the most important things, something that was brought up, and something that was brought up by another YouTuber. This particular subject was brought up by Perspective, and I want to address what he said. He has a video on his channel. This is that video right here. Lewis Hamilton cult fans invasion of Ferrari. Invasion of Ferrari. Invasion of Ferrari. Come on now, lad. No one has invaded Ferrari since Ford gave it a go, and that didn't work particularly well, so Ford beat them on track. People haven't tried to invade Ferrari anytime soon, they just beat them on track. McLaren beat Ferrari last year. Lewis haven't beaten Ferrari for a few good years now. Red Bull has been beating Ferrari for a few good years now. In fact, if the organization didn't steal Lewis Hamilton's first championship in 2007, Ferrari wouldn't have won. Well, in fact, Ferrari didn't win. Who won was Kimi Räikkönen. Kimi Räikkönen won in 2007. And admittedly, that was suspicious on a lot of different counts. But what I take issue with mostly is that people like Perspective seems to be labeling under the illusion that Lewis Hamilton fans are only coming to Ferrari to win that A title. That is a motivating factor, but it's not the only factor. Lewis is in his twilight season right now. He's in his twilight phase of his career. The best part of his career are indeed behind him. That's in the past. That's at Mercedes, McLaren. At Ferrari, Lewis can indeed accomplish great things. But there's nothing wrong with us being excited. The fans are expressing themselves with excitement. We'd be great if we can win 1 or 2 titles, but you know what? If Lewis never wins that 8th world title on track, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. He's already proven himself to the people who knows him best, to the people who matters most. Even if Lewis wins 10 world championships, some of you will never like it or never accept it. So at this point in time, it don't really matter to us, really. As a proud Lewis Hamilton fan, this move to Ferrari is way more than just winning a championship. He has an opportunity to race for the most prestigious team in history. Is he supposed to say no? Oh, I'm sorry. Are we supposed to not be excited for him and what he might accomplish? Of course we're excited. Of course we're looking forward to what he might accomplish. Of course we're saying, well, maybe a championship, maybe a few wins. Who knows? I think Lewis has set his expectations reasonably well. We've also set our expectations reasonably well. If he wins the A title, brilliant. If he doesn't, no problem at all. But if he wins that A title, then Lewis wants to continue. And we believe that if the car is competitive, he has the experience and he has the know-how to win that title. So there's nothing wrong with Lewis Hamilton fans being a little bit excited and expressing ourselves in the most genuine way. Of course we want him to win the world championship, and of course it would be great. What are we supposed to come to Ferrari and be like, well, he's not going to win the world title? Or do you want us to be a downer? You want us to be that one guy at the party who is like, this is not a fun party. Then why are you here? You see, we wouldn't be at Ferrari if we didn't want to do great things with Ferrari. This would be a great time for Lewis to close out his career, close out this chapter, race for Ferrari. Who knows how long this will go on? Maybe 2 years, maybe 3. It'd be great if he's successful in those 2 to 3 years. He might go on for 5 years. And who knows beyond that? Lewis wants to test the limits of what an athlete is capable of in Formula One. Not like Fernando Alonso, who spent his time going from team to team with very little successes instead of just staying with one team. This is not a Fernando case where he's just racing for the chance of racing. No, 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 no. Lewis is a very different athlete, very different pedigree, very different mindset, very different success rate. I'm sure you can tell. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that, a lot of people are just, think that we're just obsessed with winning that eighth title. It's not even about the eighth title anymore. It is so much more. Because you might be thinking, you lost the eighth title. No, no, no. That eighth title was stolen. So it's not like we lost fair and square, where Lewis could retire and be like, you know what? I lost fair and square. No, 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 no. Last race was manipulated on the last track. Last race of the year on the last lap. It was manipulated to benefit Max Verstappen and his team. It is very hard to close out a chapter when something like that has happened to you. So no, us as Lewis Hamilton fans, and Lewis himself is still in the pursuit of reclaiming that glory, or perhaps even surpassing that. And which better team to do it with than Ferrari? Him leaving Mercedes, he knew Mercedes will get back to the top. They will be competing for the championship this year in 2025. No doubt. He knew that. But it's more about, it's way more than just the performance of an individual team. It's way more than that. Because Ferrari wasn't really the fastest car outright on the grid, but he saw something within the environment that he said, you know what, I think I would be happier in this environment. He considered, how will I like to end my career? Never race for Ferrari. Would I be completely happy? And you know what? He's admitted that he wouldn't be completely happy. What would help to complete him and complete his career is to race for the team of Ferrari. If there's a time to race for Ferrari, it is now. Look back at Lewis Hamilton's career since 2007. If there's a chance or an opportunity or the best time in his career to race for Ferrari, it is right now. Mercedes left that door open so Lewis could go to another team. And Lewis exercised that privilege in his contract. How dare you offer him a one-year contract? Ferrari was able to offer him a multi-year contract. That could be 2, that could be 3. Honestly, that could be 4. We don't really know. And that's odd that we don't know the exact amount of time Lewis will spend at Ferrari. It's strange. Is this with any other driver? They only said it's a multi-year contract, but we really don't know how long that multi-year contract is. What if it's 4 or 5 years? We really don't know. But I think both parties will obviously leave the door open for alternative measures if Lewis wants to stop early, or if Ferrari wants to stop that partnership with Lewis early. But like he said, if there's success there, he wants to continue. And I believe the team of Ferrari do intend to allow him to continue exploring his talent at such a great age. In his 40s, in his 40s. That's incredible. So, yeah, forgive us for being excited. Forgive us for being optimistic. Lewis says he understands what a winning team looks like. And he sees that within Ferrari. So we trust Lewis, and we follow Lewis. Ferrari's own fans, including the perspective, seems to believe that Ferrari's past misdeeds cannot be adjusted, cannot be improved. You know what? I believe most Ferrari fans are wrong. We've all seen Ferrari made grave mistakes. But you know what? It's gradually getting better. It's gradually getting better. And a lot of the mistake that they've made, it is not just Ferrari making those mistakes. It's also the driver. I believe it was Silverstone last year. They sent out Leclerc a little bit too early on wet tires. But Leclerc, the driver has to agree with that. Mercedes also tried to send out Lewis on wet tires, intermediary tires, too early. Lewis said, nope, it's too early. There's still a lot of dry spots. So we can't just blame Ferrari for everything. We really can't. A lot of it also comes down to the driver. The driver gets to help to make a lot of decisions, what they think might be right, what they think might not be so right. Carlos Sainz was very good at that. He was very good at helping the team to make better decisions. You remember the Singapore race in 2023? Carlos was holding up Lando on purpose, and the team was asking him, Carlos, what are you doing? And he's like, isn't it obvious? I'm holding him up on purpose so we create a train so no one can overtake me. So Carlos was very good in that sense, seeing things that even the teams wouldn't see. But of course, Carlos is a racing driver. Who else is in the team that is a racing driver, a real racing driver, that is raced at the top of motorsport? Charles, but Charles is in the other car. The drivers have to take a level of responsibility when the team F's up, because the driver is often involved in the decision making. The driver doesn't always get to make the final decision, but often or not, they are involved in those decision making. We've also seen Mercedes make grave mistakes, to be honest. Come on now. We've seen Mercedes make a ton of mistakes over the years. The difference is Mercedes cars was often so good, and Mercedes driver Lewis was often so good. Those mistakes, Lewis can often correct them. Mercedes made a lot of mistakes, but they relied on Lewis to correct it. You remember 2021? You remember how many times Max Verstappen would undercut Lewis, and Lewis would have to be the driver to fix that problem? Because the team, didn't anticipate that Red Bull would be so bold in their decision making. But Red Bull had nothing to lose in 2021. Mercedes and Hamilton had all to lose. The pressure was on them. So is Ferrari capable of improving? Of course they are. So we need to remain open-minded, and we have seen improvement. Not just that, but Charles needs to stand up to the team more often and say, you know what, I don't think this is the best decision. He needs to use his own instincts. Sometimes he needs to say, you know what, no, I'm not doing that. He needs to use his own instincts. That's one thing I've noticed with Charles, is that Carlos was, nothing against Charles, but Carlos was better at making those strategic decisions, kind of like Russell, really bold in their crazy decisions. But those decisions sometimes save them. You remember Russell made that last-minute pit stop decision in Zandvoort in 2022? The team said, okay, Russell, but the team did not advise Hamilton to also pit. It was Russell's idea. Russell gained the reward. Hamilton was fighting for the win. He wasn't even thinking about giving up position, so he couldn't even consider that. But, some drivers do have their strengths and weaknesses, so that's just how the game works. But there's nothing wrong with Lewis Hamilton fans coming to Ferrari and being like, yeah, we want to win that title. We could win that title. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of confidence. And I think that Ferrari and Ferrari fans haven't seen this level of confidence in so long that it's kind of caught them off guard. Like, what the hell? Do they really think it's that easy? Yeah, we do. We do think it's easier than it seems, A lot of these things, they can be improved by making minor adjustments. It's not about changing the team all over. Let's not forget, Vettel lost a lot of his championships fights against Lewis because Vettel made mistakes. Singapore was at 2018 or 2017. Singapore crashed in the rain, collided with Verstappen and Raikkonen. Let's not forget Seb driving off the track in Germany in the wet once again. A lot of those mistakes lost him a lot of points in his championship lead with Hamilton. And once Hamilton gets a sniff of blood, once he sees your weakness, he will exploit it and he will just hammer it in for the rest of the season because he gets stronger as the season goes on. We saw the same thing in 2021 versus Max Verstappen. People like to say Lewis had the fastest car, but a lot of that season, Red Bull had the fastest car. A lot of those races in that season, Red Bull had the fastest car. I remember it clear as day. But as the season progressed towards the end of the year, and let's not forget, how can Mercedes have the fastest car? They only introduced like one major upgrade, and that was in Silverstone, and that was supposed to last for the entire rest of the year. Red Bull was bringing upgrades race after race after race after race. They went over the bloody cost cap. Yet you want to convince me that Red Bull didn't have the fastest car? Oh yeah, they had the fastest car. They had the fastest car, particularly after the first four race, they had the fastest car. And just from there, in the middle of the season, they had the fastest car. Towards the end of the season, that's where Hamilton started to get back at them. Those last 4 or 5 races was basically impossible to beat Lewis. And Mercedes didn't bring any upgrade. But Lewis does get better as the season goes on. He will figure out Max's strategy, and he will use it to his advantage. So there's nothing wrong with Lewis fans coming in with a little bit of optimism. But we're not trying to invade Ferrari, bro. No chance. That's not our style. We're not like certain drivers. We don't just rock up and say, okay, number one, Lewis is number one driver. No. We're actually quite optimistic. We're actually looking forward to the challenge Lewis will face and Charles will face with the rest of the grid. But I think a lot of people got it wrong. They got the Lewis Hamilton move wrong. They misinterpret a lot of our motivations and a lot of the things we want Lewis to accomplish. And what we want Lewis to accomplish, ain't nothing wrong with that. And don't let them tell you differently. And I encourage the Ferrari fans to snap out of it, to get back your confidence. Where did that confidence go? I know, maybe having a guy like Lewis in the car won't be such a bad thing because of his confidence where it's like, okay, we got an impossible mission, but we can do this. That's the kind of driver Lewis is. Maybe Ferrari needs that, especially right now. And we as the fans as well, especially Lewis fans, we come with that kind of energy. Like, we got an impossible task, but let's do it. You remember 2021, those last 4 or 5 races felt like an impossible task. Lewis had to get back those points from Max. Remember the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix where Max was basically the T word. I don't want to say it, but that boy was performing some act of violence and evil. An impossible task, but Lewis is very good at getting impossible things done. Maybe that's the change Ferrari need. And if if a lot of Ferrari fans are basically saying, well, Ferrari, we're not the most competent team. We mess up here or there. Well, maybe it's good if you have a driver who won't tolerate that. A lot of Ferrari fans are basically admitting that, there is a lot of incompetence in the team. And it's like, okay, so don't you think that a change would help? And it's like, typical Ferrari mindset is like, nope, we don't want to change. But you know what? Ferrari is changing. And if these changes work, I don't want to hear nothing from some of you, except for optimism. We need to walk in with optimism. You can't just walk in with your head down because you don't have the fastest car that weekend. You need to be more like Hamilton. You need to believe in the impossible, and you need to accomplish the impossible. You need to keep on fighting. That's the thing you got to appreciate about Hamilton. He's relentless, and he got this mad sense of self-belief when he's at his most happiest that, he can accomplish anything. And we as the fans, we also believe that. So ain't nothing wrong with that. But if he doesn't win the 8th world title, are we bothered? Absolutely not. Lewis is already the most successful driver in the history of motorsport. And to top it off, they robbed him in front of the entire world. We don't have anything to be ashamed of. Formula One should be ashamed. FIA should be ashamed. This entire sport should be ashamed. We have nothing to be ashamed of. But we all know who they want to break, the seven championship record. Who do they want to break the 7 championship record? They want Verstappen to break it. And if Verstappen can't do it, they'd be happy with, Leclerc or Russell or Lando. But not Lewis. They don't want Lewis to do it. But we as the fans, we want Lewis to do it. We felt like he deserves that. He was working towards his masterpiece. And it got interrupted for various different reasons, not to mention the terrible cars Mercedes built. That really messed up Lewis, momentum. He really wanted his revenge in 2022 and 2023. He didn't get that. You know how painful that is? And he tried to rebuild that team and rebuild the car. And instead, the team just said, that's not enough, Lewis. So, of course, he's like, well, I'm going to go to a team that is going to appreciate my feedback and appreciate my hard work a little bit more. You're going to give me a 1-year contract? Thanks, but no thanks. I'm out. So thank you all for watching. Subscribe and let me know what you think, because I can't be the only one who've experienced this. Some fans out there, Ferrari fans, they're misinterpreting our intentions when supporting Lewis. Let me know what you think. Subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.